Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reality Recap. I'm your host, Queen E, if you didn't know me. And today, we are continuing to break down the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm starting to get to know the people a little bit more. The storylines are making a bit more sense to me. I'm getting the drama and the history. So yeah, I'm catching up, y'all. Y'all are holding my hands, and I appreciate you. We're also going to be breaking down Temptation Island, episodes 4 to 7. Baby, nobody warned me about episode 5. Nobody warned me about how diabolical Breon was going to be. Oh my gosh, that man is a menace. But before I even get into all of that, please make sure that you are listening, following, liking, commenting on all streaming platforms. The podcast is available everywhere. Anywhere that you would listen to a podcast, I am there. Please make sure that after you listen to YouTube, maybe you want to bump me in the car, bump me at your job, bump me when you're dropping your kid off at the nursery. I don't know, whatever you're doing, just have me running. I would greatly appreciate it. If you do want to listen ad-free, there is that option on Apple Podcast subscription. So definitely make sure to utilize that if you want that. And as well, keep in touch with me on Instagram. It is at Reality Recap Pod. We'll definitely keep the conversation going on over there. So let's get into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we get a little bit more enthusiasm from Mike. Mike is Britt's husband. Now that they're talking about the kid, he says, you know what? We've been together for a long time. I think it's time that we have a kid. And I said, oh, okay. Finally, he seems like he's on board with this whole, hey, our kid is our storyline. Like, come on. But then Britt is like, well, before I do have the kid, I want us to have a ceremony because they did get married during the pandemic. They had to do what they had to do. He's not excited about that. And I'm thinking, come on, Mike, come on. I thought we were making headway here, but I'm starting to understand him. He can only be excited about one thing at a time. So last week, he was more enthusiastic about the house that they would be putting his mother-in-law in more than he was the child. Now, this episode, he's more excited about the child than he is the ceremony. See, Britt, you got to understand your man. Okay, you got to understand your man. He's only going to be enthusiastic for one thing at a time. So choose the thing you want him to be excited about. This week, it's the baby, thank God. Because I was like, man, this man saying allegedly. Do you know how much that would hurt my feelings? I want to have a baby. But I also want to have a ceremony. And I also want to have a nice place for my house, for my mom to stay. I get it, Britt. You got a lot on your mind. So Britt opens up more about the importance of insurance because she lost her father, I think it was in 2015. And she said that her mother was unable to claim the $2 million insurance that he had because at the time he was in between jobs. So she found it very hard to deal with that. Honestly, I do relate right now. Not too long ago, within a matter of 3 weeks, I think it's been now, I did lose a family member and that was hard. He didn't have an insurance policy. We had to do a whole GoFundMe thing, see where people can pull their funds together. It is not easy. Losing somebody is never easy. Then dealing with the financial ramifications of that is also not easy. So I definitely understand where Britt is coming from, wanting to make sure that she aids her community in providing insurance. Now, the only thing is the streets are chirping. And they're saying that this is a scheme that Todd set up. See, I don't even watch Real Housewives for real, but I know that saying. It sounded like it was a scheme that Todd set up. The insurance. Y'all let me know. I don't know. But anyways, I really do like that she is making that service available for people. At the time, she did have the business be between her and her sisters. Now, unfortunately, she and her sisters are estranged because they basically couldn't handle doing business together. And it's always tough working with family or friends. Sometimes you guys aren't going to agree. Sometimes it's hard to separate what is business and what is family. So she definitely wants to get in better with them, but this is also why she's yearning to have a child because she's so family oriented. She's already lost her father. She's already estranged with her siblings. I do understand that yearning for a family unit. So at least Mike is on board. But remember, Britt, one big issue at a time. The man can only take so much. So then we have a conversation between Portia and Kelly. They meet to clear the air because, as we know, Kelly had a interesting comment being like, so why did Portia steal that lady's man? Now, this time, I don't know if it's because Portia just intimidates the girls, but Kelly is talking like she has her tail between her legs. And she's like, I didn't even say it in a mean way. I was just like, why did she take that lady's man? No. No. You had a lot of oomph in that statement. You had a lot of oomph in it. You basically were insinuating that she was a homewrecker. Like, let's be for real. But anyways, they're kind of starting to understand each other. She was like, hey, I was talking to Shamia. Shamia said that I should bring it up with you. Portia doesn't fully understand that because she's like, why would my best friend tell you to come and have this conversation with me at her birthday party? Like, that part doesn't make sense. But if memory serves me, I do remember Shamia not really wanting to have that conversation amongst mixed company. Like, she really was writing for Portia saying, hey, not too much on my friend, but also I'm not going to speak too much on the topic because you're talking about my friend, you know? Don't say bad things around my friend about my friends. Wait, but why did they feel comfortable to say those things around you? That's a thought that just crossed my mind. Because there are people in this life who know you can. There are certain people you cannot come and talk to me disparagingly about. Because not too much on my friend. So are they really friends? What's the tea with Portia and Shamia? Are they really girls for real? But anyways, they are clearing the air. You know, Kelly is like, as a woman, as a mother, as a Black woman, we have so many things in common, and Portia did agree. And so Kelly just doesn't want to be at odds, especially for petty little things. But Kelly, you have to be more transparent. You did come with the shade. When you said that statement, you definitely came with the shade, but it's totally fine. Then we see Drew. She claims that she had been trying to clear the air with Portia. She had sent her text messages time and time again. Portia doesn't respond. Now, I'm not quite sure if I believe that she exhausted every avenue, because if somebody's not responding to my texts and I want to make sure that we're in a good place, I'll just call you, or I'll arrange a time to meet. Especially when you work on the same show, when you're eventually gonna see each other. I want to ride for Drew. I really do. But it's seeming like she's a bit of a liar. She has a bit of a lying problem. She was even saying, you know, things with Dennis are strictly business. I've never even been on the phone with him. That man never picks up his phone. Why do the shady producers show clips of her calling Dennis bro? Okay, that sounds misleading. Her calling Dennis and his name on her phone is Dennis bro. Like, girl, come on. Like, I want to ride for you, but the story has to make sense. And right now, it doesn't really seem like the story is making sense. Kenya was really piping up in this conversation, and she was like, if I was at odds with somebody, I would do whatever it takes to make sure that I clear the air. I had somebody working with my ex. I think it was her ex that she was referring to. And we made sure that we had that conversation. It's not about you and the person who you're working with. Make sure that friendship that you have with the girl is still intact. Like, don't let business come into play when it comes to friendship, especially when you've built a friendship off of really being a support system for somebody. And from what I'm understanding, it sounds like Portia and Drew were a good support system for each other because they were going through similar things. But hey, I guess business takes precedence overall. I don't know. You got to ask Drew about that. Kenya is like, girl, you are out here being spoken about like you're a whore. She said that with a capital WH. Capital WH. But it's kind of true. Like, if I knew the streets were talking about me so salaciously, I would do whatever it takes to clear my name. And I just don't think she's doing enough, in my opinion. I think that, yes, she did reach out to Portia, but did she do everything she could? I don't really know if I fully agree with that. But anyways. Last week, I was commending Charles Oakley, who is Angela's husband, for being that doting husband, that I'll take care of you husband. Now, I don't know if I want to take that back, because we hear that they have been in therapy for a while, which they did touch on last week. But this week, we learned that he is annoyed at the fact that she's spending so much on therapy. But from what I'm understanding, he was at odds with either his coach or his manager back in the day, and he got kicked out of Madison Square Garden. And so since then, he had, there was some tension in his relationship, so much so that they decided to live separately. Now, I feel like maybe there's more context to the story that we're missing. Obviously, they're not going to air out all of their dirty laundry, but I'm like, was there some infidelity involved on whoever's part? I'm not quite sure. But anyways, they got to a point where they couldn't even stay in the same home. They had to go and seek therapy. And now it seems like the pendulum has swung the complete other way. Now he's like this super caring, super thoughtful, super attentive husband, which is great and all. But what had happened? After you got kicked out, what had happened? I want to know. I personally want to know. I just feel like there's a little bit more of a detail there that I would like to be privy to. Am I nosy? We're watching Housewives. Please. Everybody's nosy. I feel like we can also be nosy too. So according to the show, Drew is talking to her lawyer, and she says that the reason why the divorce is being held up is because Ralph has been really dragging his feet. So the last time they were in court, he didn't even have representation. He was trying to represent himself, which is never a good idea. Unless you actually have the credentials, unless you have the knowledge, the education, what are you doing? Pay the professionals to do the thing. Okay, you do not know what you're doing. You're going to talk yourself into a hole or into the basement. Sorry, too soon. Okay. So basically she's like, yeah, he's making it difficult on purpose. She doesn't really know if he's trying to be petty or if he really just doesn't have the substantiating documentation that he needs to bring. The lawyer was like, he had a lot of files, but a lot of files were your files. I'm thinking, well, how does he even have access to all of her information? Like, I mean, yeah, in a marriage, you are supposed to completely, well, as much as you are comfortable with, blend your life with somebody. But it seems like he had a lot of access to her, whereas she didn't have the same amount of access to him. So basically, up until this point, I'm not quite sure when they had gone to court to sort all of this out, but up until that point, the judge had kept the divorce files sealed. So now the judge is deliberating, opening it up. And that's going to be a problem for both Ralph and Drew because it's going to expose Ralph. And also it's going to put Drew's children in a vulnerable position because they're going to know, or the world will know, that Ralph was a serial cheater, that Ralph took money from her, that he also stalked her, which is insane. So then Ralph, after seeing what was going on the show, he was like, you know what, let me just clear the air. And I need to read this from my phone because, baby, he had a lot to say. We got bullet points and everything. So Mr. Ralph in the basement says, since Drew publicized sensitive and disparaging information surrounding our divorce on Real Housewives of Atlanta, etc., I don't know what comes after the Atlanta part, but he said, etc. I need to provide facts and complete details as the blogs are now spreading false and incomplete information. Okay. Number one, the judge ordered that I move to the basement due to false allegations. Well, what were the false allegations? Like, sir, if you're going to tell us the tea, tell us the full tea. Okay. Number two, the judge ordered that I continue, in all caps, to pay all costs associated with the home and all the vehicles, which I paid over 10 years. Okay. Number three, the judge ordered that Drew has temporary primary custody of the kids. Number four, I have no idea where this asinine request for child support or alimony came from. It's not true, and you can't believe everything you hear. Interesting. Because I was really empathizing with her like, damn, girl, you got to provide financially for your kids solely at this point. You got to pay this man money. You got to have him living in your basement. Like, I really was feeling for her, but he's saying it's not true. I don't really know who to believe, honestly. Number five. The reason I'm in the house is because my kids mean the world to me and I refuse to lose access to them like many other dads. Right now, I can see them every day. If I left, I can only see them every other weekend. Okay. And lastly, number six, as details of our two-year divorce are being made public, I'm taking the liberty to support men and families as they navigate unfortunate circumstances via my YouTube channel. That's how he's framing it. Please, you're trying to eat off the girl. Like, let's be, you're here to support men and families. You're trying to get the bag. Please, let's just be honest. I've learned a lot throughout this journey and sharing my experiences. Subscribe, as it will be valuable and entertaining. And then he ends it off by saying, lastly, I don't have any animosity towards Drew. I'm still taking care of her, my family, and have taken care of her family for over 10 years, regardless if she acknowledges or not. Put some respect on my name. Again, I don't even know who I fully believe at this point. He is giving clout chaser to me. She is giving a little bit of a pathological liar. I don't know if you could be a little bit of a pathological liar, but whatever. And also, it's a divorce. When a divorce is messy, people are going to pull whatever punches they have to pull to get their way, right? So I don't know. You guys let me know whose side you're leaning towards. Is it Ralph in the basement or is it Drew the singer? Let's proceed. Moving on to Portia, she's talking a little bit more about her divorce, and she says that in the Benin traditional culture, the family is actually allowed to intervene in the divorce to help with whatever is going on. I guess like arrangements for where assets are allocated or what's the custody stuff, if there's custody stuff, I don't know what the capacity would be, but traditionally his family would be allowed to intervene if they saw fit. Problem is, Portia has been reaching out to try and get their support, and they're just not giving it to her. Now, Portia. Again, you are not Simon's first ex-wife, second ex-wife, third ex-wife, fourth ex-wife. You are his fifth ex-wife. If I am Simon's sister, I'm not coming anymore. You got about 2 divorces before I clock out. You are 3 divorces expired for my help. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Portia. She had her beautiful wedding. It went viral. I even saw it before I was watching the Real Housewives. It looked gorgeous. However, the family has been down this road before. I'm not even sure why they're not helping, but I would imagine after the 3rd divorce, they said, oh, this man, come on. He's not serious. He's not serious. And on top of that, too, it is tied to somebody who is very notable in pop culture. And it revolves around like financial scams and stuff like that. I really don't see anybody trying to get their hands all into this divorce proceeding. It just doesn't seem like anything I would want to be involved in, especially being his 5th divorce. Like, girl, at this point, no. Wrap it up, sister. So then we go to Kelly. Kelly is hosting a Mommy and Me event to raise money for osteogenesis imperfecta, which is also known as brittle bone disease. 3 out of her 4 girls are diagnosed with this condition. That has to be so heartbreaking. I'm thinking too, because the first daughter is with somebody else, it probably was a recessive gene in both her and her ex-partner. And then when they had those kids, it was prevalent in the kids. She says that she really noticed it, I think, with the girl before the twins. I think so. And something was wrong with her arm. She took her to the emergency room and the police was called. And eventually CPS deemed her unfit to be with her kids because they thought that she was harming her children. When in fact, after the hospital did more examination, there was like a blue tint in the baby's eye or something like that. And that is a telltale sign of having osteogenesis imperfecta. Oh, I said that. So yeah, now she's raising money to raise awareness, to make sure that more people are aware of this thing. And I can only imagine how terrifying that is. As a new mother, as if I know what that's like, but I can imagine as a new mother having a baby and already feeling like they are too precious. Like you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to suffocate them. You want to watch them like a hawk to make sure that nothing harms them. And then for them to have a condition like brittle bone disease, I would have you in bubble wrap all day, every day. I'm so sorry. I'm not risking it. Absolutely not risking it. My heart would just be in panic mode all the time. But anyways, she's hosting this Mommy and Me event with Balmain. Now, I thought it was pronounced Balmain. Everybody's been saying Balmain or something like that. I'm not the one who has a partnership with Balmain, so clearly I'm probably saying it wrong. It's definitely out of my tax bracket, so what do I know? That's like Portia. How people are like, it's Porsche. All of us poor people were saying it's Porsche. Apparently it's Portia, y'all. Moving on. I love a tangent. Oh, let me stay focused. So Shamia and Angela have been at odds because in the last episode, they had their conversation at the gym and Shamia felt as if Angela was being a mouthpiece for Drew. And she was like, baby, what we're not going to do is that. If I wanted to talk to Drew, I would talk to Drew. I'm talking to you. So don't come talking to me sideways because you're not even the person who I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not really cool with each other, right? We also have Drew, who's not too cool with Portia right now, but she wants to clear the air. She just doesn't want to force it. She's like, if me and Portia end up bumping into each other tonight, that's one thing, but I'm not really going to seek her out, right? So it gets to the point where Angela and Shamia finally meet. And when I tell you these girlies were going bar for bar, insult for insult, it was insane. So let's go one by one. At first, Shamia called Angela retro nose. That is not nice. That is not nice. And what's even worse is that after she said it, I couldn't get the thought out of my head. I couldn't. So in response, Angela called Shamia, Shamina. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit weak, but fine. Then Shamia said, Angela got her nose in 1999. Lord, these women. Then Angela said, well, baby, you look like Flavor Flav. Not you look like, sorry. She called her Flavor Flav. And I initially thought it was a looks thing. I was like, oh, girl, this is dangerous territory. But her explanation was that Flavor Flav used to be like the biggest hype man back in the day. But at the end of the day, he was a lapdog to somebody else. And she's insinuating that Shamia is Portia's lapdog. Then finally, Shamia said that Angela needs glue to glue her nose down. And then Angela said that she needs to get her nose out of Portia's ass. Now, if we're going bar for bar, I personally think Angela kind of ate her up a little bit. And here's why. Angela's insults were dated, definitely. I'm like, okay, we need to work on the shade. You know, we need to modernize the shade a little bit. But Shamia just kept going for the nose. And I'm like, girl, the joke is okay. The joke is run down at this point. I'm sure I'm sure Angela has heard it all. Girl, if you're going to run me down, make it unique. You know what I'm saying? I hear certain insults all the time on my YouTube platform. And I'm like, I can respect the creative one. Sometimes people aren't creative. I felt like, am I really rating bar for bar insults right now? Anyways. Let's move on. It's funny because all of this kind of stemmed from Drew being the main subject here. But at the end of the night, we saw Shamia and Drew hugging up, doing all buddy. And I'm like, wow. So now these girls have tension when the source of the problem isn't even a problem anymore. So speaking of Drew, we are left on a cliffhanger where Drew and Portia plan to have a conversation. It seems like it's going to be heated. However, I heard that in real time, Portia and Drew have actually made amends. And Portia has also made amends with Britt. And apparently this is a problem for Kenya, so much so that she went on social media and wrote #traitors. Now, I was in my group chat and we were wondering, is this Traitors like the show? Because a lot of housewives have been going on Traitors lately. Or is it like, no, she's a traitor. I don't trust her. TBD. We're going to have to find out about that. But anyways, that is all for Housewives. This episode was a little bit mid, but I'm developing more of an understanding of who these people are. Oh, I wanted to talk about Shamia too. Shamia's family is riddled with health issues. Oh my goodness. Like, my heart can't be breaking for these women every episode. Come on. So we know that her baby Shiloh had issues early on. Her other daughter, I'm forgetting the name, but it also starts with Sha. I'm forgetting, but she had to get a minor surgery. It was to remove her tonsils. Because she has been through so many rounds of IVF, 7 to be exact, is at risk of blood clots and having a stroke. Her sister has lupus. I'm thinking, my God. The girl has seen so much already. I would be terrified to want to explore having a child again. That's just me. Like I'm so, what is it? Risk averse? Would that be the explanation? Like, I don't want to do something that has already proven to be risky, but I also understand that yearning for family. It seems like she's really close with her sisters. She wants to have more children. So yeah, heart goes out to her. Prayers go out to her. I definitely hope that the third baby is happy and healthy. And if not, I pray that she has a good support system to help her through whatever journey that they'll be going through. Moving on to Temptation Island. We go from wholesome to whatever the hell this was. Like, this was an absolute mess. So we're going to start with Grant, right? As we know, in the last episode, in episode 3, Grant is the first person to cross a boundary with one of the singles, and he decided to kiss, I think her name was Natalie. So he acknowledges that he crossed the line, but he's like, I just don't want to be seen as a cheater. Sweetie, you got intimate with somebody who wasn't your partner. What would you define that as? Most people would call that cheating. What? Get your head in a game, Grant. Like, he has so many double standards, and we're going to see that. He's not even the worst of the worst. We're just talking about him right now. He has so many double standards. It's insane. He has like for some reason he's able to dissociate himself from his own behavior, and he wants to be seen as this great noble man while doing things that are indicative of a great noble man. It's just, anyways, let's move on. So after both villas sent 2 singles home, the girls' villa had an extra elimination because Case decided to temporarily self-eliminate. He ended up coming back like in the next episode, I think it was. But at that point, he was coming back not necessarily for Taylor, but he had the strongest connection with Taylor. By that point, Taylor had moved on to Yemen. Baby, a snooze, you lose. Next time, just stay. What are you eliminating yourself for? It is a free vacation. You probably got a stipend at the end of the show, and definitely a social media following. You better stay your ass on this island unless, there are some unethical things going on. Then definitely eliminate yourself if you can. But anyways, the boyfriends and the girlfriends get sent on dates where 2 new islanders were brought into both of the villas, right? So the guys immediately, they're excited. They're always excited. As soon as there's fresh meat in the situation, they don't know how to act. So Mr. Grant, who had just been talking about Natalie, oh, Natalie is so nurturing. Natalie is so great. Like, I really want a wholesome woman like her. I want somebody who's so passionate and so smart and so blah, 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 blah. He's saying all of these flattering things about her. All of a sudden, he's doing body shots with Miss New Girl. Unfortunately, I didn't catch her name. I don't mean that to be disrespectful. But he was looking at Natalie like, oh, are you going to come do it too? Are you going to do a body shot on me too? And she's like, no, I don't do all of that. You're playing games. I don't do that. So Mr. I'm so noble. I'm such a great dad. I'm this and that. It's not giving what you said it would give. And Natalie is like, I'm sensing that you're used to toxicity. I don't operate in that. I don't do the toxicity thing. And so we find out that this is something that Grant and Ashley would do on a night out. He would flirt with somebody to make Ashley jealous. She would flirt with somebody to make him jealous. And I'm thinking, noble man, my ass. And I don't mean to keep bringing up his daughter, but I'm so sorry. I just find it rich that he had so much to say about Ashley acting the way that he's acting. And this makes me think of Clay from Love is Blind, right? Clay came on the show and he talked so much about the things that he saw his dad do and how his dad was a womanizer, his dad was toxic in relationships, blah, 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 whatever, right? And we saw the effects that it had on Clay. Clay is in his big 30s. And it affected him in that way. So if somebody like Grant is going to say, I am a great father, there are characteristics outside of just being there for your child that make you a great father. Don't let your child see you on TV act an ass. Come on. You have to do better. Clay is a great example of the effects of watching your father be a womanizer and how that potentially could affect you. Please, Grant, please be so for real. So moving on. We have a love triangle building between Breon, I always want to call him Leon, Breon, Lino, and Alex. Now the problem is, as Lino is fixated on Alex, he says that, you're the type of person who actually would tempt me. I'm definitely very physically attracted to you, sexually attracted to you. She is fixated on trying to tempt Breon. I'm not quite sure. I think because he's been talking about threesomes so much, it sounds like a challenge. And she's like, well, challenge accepted. I'm going to do whatever it takes to accomplish this threesome. He isn't really focused on anybody specific. He just wants to knock the boots. He has iteration. Oh, I wish I wrote them all down. He has different iterations of threesomes that he wants to accomplish in this villa. He said, well, if I'm going with girl A, I think it would be best with girl B. But then if I want to go with girl C, I think she'd be more compatible with girl. He is crazy. He's actually crazy. Simultaneously, he will say, oh, but I still love my girl. I still think she's amazing. I still think she's the one for me. I would actually lose my mind. Watching this back, I hope that Shantae in the other villa is reading her Bible while this man is going through iterations of threesomes. Yo, God forbid. Oh my God. I actually was so triggered because he is the epitome of so many men that I've seen. And I need to know, does Breon play an instrument in church? Because if you know, you know. And if he's a drummer or a pianist, then you know he's the worst ones. Just saying, sorry to stereotype, but it's true. True is true. So anyways, Tyler and Kay, they have been having their eyes on each other, of course, from the beginning. Kay was wearing that like picnic dress, whatever thing. And he was like, yeah, I'm liking her vibe. So he's contemplating giving in to kissing her. They're sharing a bed, but he actually doesn't cross the line. Who does cross the line is Grant. Not only does he kiss Natalie, not only does he grope Natalie, not only does he get naked with Natalie, this man gets in the shower and they have sex. Mind you, Natalie's like, if you turn off the lights, these cameras have night vision. He's like, yeah. I would crash out. Like, I don't even know what I would do knowing that my boyfriend is having sex. Do they even have time to get a condom? Like, what are we really doing here? We have been together for how long? My family knows who you are. My friends know who you are. People I know, people I work with are watching the show. And it took you a matter of a week to sleep with somebody on national television. I would lose my mind. But then again, I also feel like if you're taking me on Temptation Island, I'm already resolving? One of the rest. That the relationship is done. Because ain't no way you're going to bring me on a show talking about, to make sure that I really love you, let me be tempted by 12 other women so that I can confirm that you're really the one. Oh, no, that's not how this is going to work. We came on here to break up. We're just going to have fun doing it. Absolutely. So the next morning, he's like getting emotional. He's like, oh man, I feel like this is a regret. I shouldn't have done that. What. He's on the hammock. He's strumming his guitar. He's singing about regrets and how he shouldn't make rash decisions. Meanwhile, his regret is walking towards him. I said, the comedy of it all. But then he tells Natalie, I just want to back off physically. And that's the problem too. With people who want to be a fool out here in these streets. You are now bringing in another woman who believed, in my opinion, that she's building a bond with you. For me, it doesn't seem like Natalie was a one-night stand kind of girl. Like, she actually liked Grant. She actually wanted to build something with Grant. So now you wanted to go act a fool, have sex with this girl. It was consenting. I'm not going to make it seem like he took advantage of her. But now you're going to turn around and be like, oh, sorry, I actually do have an obligation to somebody else. I'm just going to back away from you. That's not like... Bro, don't bring me in to chuck me away. Like, that's horrible. If you're going to bring me in, be serious about it. But also, it's kind of weird to apply morals on a show like this. But you know what I'm saying? Like, now you have another girl who has a complex about you when that was so unnecessary. So unnecessary. But let's move on to the bonfire. Breon has this realization. Guys, it's riveting. It is so riveting. You're even going to be shocked. Breon realizes that you can find somebody who's faithful and a freak. Can you imagine that? Guys, I never knew that was possible. I never knew you could find somebody who's loyal in a relationship, who's committed to your partnership, and also want to do the freaky deaky things that you're into. Also has the same sex drive as you. I never knew that existed. Could you imagine, guys? It was such a revelation. I said, wow, Breon, the innovator that you are. What an idiot. Like, this man, with every episode, I'm convinced that he just sees himself with this cookie cutter type of Christian girl. But he knows within himself, he wouldn't be satisfied by that. He wouldn't. He even says, wait, God knows my heart. But God also know who he created. Don't bring God into this. I know God be looking at us like, wait a damn minute. God wouldn't say damn though. Now wait a damn minute. Why am I in this? Oh, you see how I'm tying in the Real Housewives? Guys, I'm good. God don't want to be in your mess. Talk about he knows my heart, but he also knows who he made. Ew. He also said when he imagines himself being married, he sees a wife, kids, the white picket fence, all the fixings. And so definitely Shantae would fit into his perfect image of marriage. But if you know that there is this sexual drive within you that Shantae cannot fulfill, please let that woman go. He has put her through so much, and we haven't even gone to the main event, y'all. He has put her through so much. And at this point, he knows she's going to stay. He literally says in the next few episodes, oh, I can do all these things, apologize, and I know she's going to forgive me. Like, he knows this. And that is so unfair. That is so disrespectful. But let's wait for that, child. Then we have Ashley, who says that Grant probably has cheated on her more than the time that she is aware of, because if he could cheat within a week on a televised program, how more often is he able to cheat on the outside where nobody's really clocking him, So yeah, girl, you know what it is. You know who your man is. You know why you haven't been able to really commit to each other for all this time. She even says he mistreated his ex-fiance. He's mistreating me, and both of us deserved better than him. You know this. I think it was the first episode. She was like, honestly, I question why I'm still with this man. Like, yeah. And as much as I'm looking at Grant like you're actually scum, I'm also looking at Ashley like, baby, you are aware that you deserve better. Please go and find better. Please go and find better. Oftentimes, I feel like we develop these extra insecurities because we're staying in something way longer than we're supposed to. And so something turns toxic, and something, it becomes detrimental to your mental health, to, your sense of self, your confidence. Leave. As soon as it's not serving you anymore, please leave. But anyways, on Grant's side, he says that what he doesn't like about Ashley is that she's still holding him to his past mistakes. Mind you, he had just finished sleeping with Natalie. He still smells like her, but she's focused on okay, moving on. Taylor feels like Tyler doesn't deserve her, especially because people always leave. Mind you, Taylor is the one who said that Tyler has bitch tendencies. I need us to be introspective. I want to be a girl's girl so bad, but the girls are also not making the best decisions. Like, I do understand it's hard to feel like you're constantly being abandoned. You show up and show up and show up for people and they just don't show up for you. But who would show up for somebody who calls them or who says that they have bitch tendencies? And she might have not said that explicitly to Tyler before, but I'm sure he got the message inadvertently. Come on, let's make it make sense. Let's move on to something called the Temptation Haven. This is a new development. I've been watching Temptation Island since it came back on USA. So not the first initial 3 seasons, but the ones after that. Temptation Haven is something new. I feel like we can make it a little bit more tantalizing. I think it should be a whole separate villa, not a little tent. And I also think, what else could spice it up? You know what? We're still in the preliminary stages of the Temptation Haven. I think it did what it was supposed to do, right? So basically in this haven, there's this tent outside of the villa. When you go in there are no cameras allowed. Now, you will still be mic'd up because you're always mic'd up on reality TV. So whatever we hear is just up to interpretation, but there is nothing that we can see, right? The first person to go in there is Tyler. He takes Kay in there. It sounds to me like all they did was kiss. But when somebody goes into the tent, the other villa gets a red light. You don't know who went in. So Shantae, can you imagine, is having a whole breakdown. She's crying. She's like, it can't be him. Please don't let it be Breon. Please, please, please. You see how you know your man? You see how you know your man. She's having a breakdown at the thought that he potentially would have went in there. I need us to take more stock in the decisions that we make. I need us to take more responsibility, because you cannot tell me at the end of the day you were played by somebody who showed you exactly who they are and you stayed. Like, come on. So she's having this spiral like, oh my gosh, he's in the tent. Oh, baby, don't worry. He ain't in the tent. He's in the bathroom because Courtney and Alex are still on this mission. Well, Alex more so, to see if they can make Breon crack. And they're like, well, how far are you willing to go? Baby, apparently he's willing to go all the way. So they're in the bathroom. We don't get to see what actually happens, but you can hear that he is working it. He is working it. So much so, they finish with the birds. The birds are chirping. And he's like, did we go all night? Like, the birds are the sun is rising. This is actually insane. After this, the man has the audacity. The man fixed his mouth. Guys, I'm actually triggered by Brianna. It's insane. The man fixed his mouth to say, I don't feel like I disrespected Shantae because women respect honesty. And if I'm honest, she'll be okay with it. If I'm honest, she will forgive me. I have no words. He knows that he could be a deviant because Shantae, unfortunately, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I know it's going to come off disrespectful, so I'm preemptively apologizing. She's proven herself to be a doormat. And he knows that, and he's taking advantage of it. You mean to tell me this is the first time that he has done something like this to her? It can't be. It cannot be. I'm sure she knows that he has stepped out before. She has to have known. If he could do it so early on in their relationship, if he could explore a whole other connection and then come back to her, she knows. She has to know. Anyways, what else happens there? Yeah, he says God knows my heart, but also God knows who he made. God does know who he made. And you've got to be one of the more diabolical ones. Not the most. I'm sure there's worse people out there than Breon, but wow. He's really pushing the line here. So Grant then goes into the Haven, the Temptation Haven next. He's kissing up on Natalie, of course. This is what really irks me about Temptation Island. The men almost never care. The men will do whatever it is to really explore. You know, they'll go on dates with girls that they're actually attracted to. The girls will go on dates with guys that they're friends with for the most part. They'll actually, you know, toy with kissing a girl or maybe having sex with a girl. The most the girls will do is like hand holding on the beach, sitting on somebody's lap. Like they don't go all the way. Now I understand that's probably uncomfortable, but your man is doing a madness. And I'm not saying that it needs to be a tit for tat thing. But like I said, if we're getting to the point where we're coming on Temptation Island, I'm assuming our relationship is done. What is there to work on? If I'm going to forgive you for foolishness, I'm going to give you something to forgive me for too. Again, God is working on my heart, y'all. Oh, maybe I need to leave God out of it too. Who am I like Breon? God forbid. Anyways, he goes in there. From the sounds of it, they only oh no, they did have sex. I think they had sex. Well, at the bonfire, Ashley had said that she's single, so it really doesn't matter at this point. I guess not. The next day, she's the one, being Ashley, she's the one who goes into the Temptation Haven, but they don't even do anything. She just wanted to set off the lights so she can, you know, get some chatter going on in the guy's house. She eventually went back in there to kiss. I think his name was Danny. I didn't write it down, but I feel like she went in there with Danny. So finally she was doing something, but I was just like, I need the girls to really come with it, you know? Gone are the days of baby. Do y'all remember the baby season? If you know, you know. Guys, you have to go back and watch old seasons of Temptation Island. Some of those people were actually insane. Baby? Yeah. Who was that black girl who was with that black guy? I know that's not helpful at all. But she also had sex, and I was like, baby, if you do me, I do you. Yeah, sorry. If I'm going on Temptation Island, I'm doing my worst. So moving on. We're at the bonfire, right? And actually, no, before that, Breon ends up going on a date with Angel. Angel is one of the newer additions, right? And she doesn't even know about this whole threesome thing, but she's trying to get a better understanding of where Breon's head is at. And she's like, well, you say that you want a God-fearing woman, but you are also into like threesomes and all of these things like polyamory and whatnot. And mind you, polyamory is not a bad thing if he wants that. find somebody who wants that. The real problem with Breon is he's with somebody who very clearly is not on the same page as him, but he still wants to put her through these things because he knows that she's going to stay. Be with somebody who's polyamorous. Be with somebody who separately has the same kinks and desires and whatever that you want. Be like, there are people who want consensual non-monogamy. It is out there. You are free to explore that. But to want to continuously put Shantae through what he's putting her through, knowing how sweet she is ridiculous. So then Angel is like, you say that you love this girl, but you can't even be vulnerable with her. And he's admitted a few times now that he uses humor to mask his emotions. He doesn't like deep conversations. He even says the questions that Angel was asking him were very off-putting. He was very put off by her. Mind you, it wasn't even that deep. It was not that deep. But yeah, this man deflects. And unfortunately, Shantae has allowed that in the relationship to the point where he doesn't even notice when he's doing it anymore. So fast forward to the bonfire. Of course, the main event is Shantae watching Breon. This girl was so numb. And I can't even say that I'm surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if she cried either. But her being numb was equally unsurprising. And it's important to note that at the previous bonfire, Mark, the host, was like, I want you to be able to express yourself. I can see that you have a lot of emotions going on in you, but you're really trying to keep it together, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But if you want to scream, you can scream. If you want to cry, you can cry. If you want to like explode, you are safe to do so. And it seems like she's gotten to the point where she is numb. And it makes me think of boiling a frog. If you take a frog and you throw it into hot water, they're immediately going to jump out. But if you take a frog into cool water, warm it up a little bit. Warm it up a little bit more. Warm it up a little bit more. Eventually, they keep acclimating to the temperature that they die and they don't even realize that they are being boiled. And I feel like that's where Shantae is with Breon. She's so numb now because it's been thing after thing after thing that she doesn't even realize how far deep things have gotten with Breon. She ends up saying, oh, she hurts my soul. She ends up saying, oh, I just don't want him to look bad. You don't want him to look bad? Baby, he put himself in this situation. Like, girl, why are you empathizing for him? Oh, I know if we were in the real world, he wouldn't have done this to me. You think a man who was determined to come on a show to have a threesome on national television is not going to cheat on you in the real world? Like, she's actually numb. She's so desensitized. She doesn't even see it. She doesn't even see it. She later on says, the women are like, oh, we think this girl is in denial. She absolutely is. And she's like, well, we always talked about telling our kids our love story and stuff. And I don't even know how I'm going to tell my kids. You're thinking too far down the line. How are you going to tell yourself 6 months down the line where you're watching this show back? How are you going to tell your family, your colleagues, your friends? Girl, like she's already trying to see how she can save this man. Last week, didn't we speak about Black women wanting to save Black men so badly in romantic relationships that she doesn't even realize how much this man has demoralized her? How much this man has just shattered her confidence, shattered her security in herself. It really breaks my heart to see. I hope to God when she's watching it back, because I have a feeling she's going to stay with him. I hope to God when she watches this back, she realizes, oh, this man actually did a madness with me. I will never let this happen to me again. Not with him or anybody. I hope to God, please, Shantae, please. Anyways, let's go back to the bonfire because there are other people at this bonfire. So we have, who do we have? Grant was saying that if Ashley works on herself, he can still see himself marrying her. I would love to be able to dissociate the way that Grant dissociates, because how did you manage to make this an Ashley issue? How did you manage to make it seem like she's the one who has the work to do? And if she's able to work on herself, you will then be the one to marry her. What if she don't want to marry you? You have not proven yourself to be somebody who she wants to be married to. You have not proven yourself to be husband material. Please get over yourself. Get over yourself. Moving back on to Breon. So Breon, the way that he views women is so alarming to me. I really do not like it. So he is in his room. He's really mulling over his thoughts and stuff. And one of the girls comes in. What was her name? Amaya. Yeah, Amaya. She comes in. She's like, hey, do you want to journal? And he's like, yeah, sure. We could journal. And he's like, I did have a threesome. And she's like, what? Huh? What? And he's like, yeah, I just think that, what's her name will forgive me. What's her name? Shantae will forgive me and stuff. And she's like, you know what? I think this is outside of my pay grade. I came in as a friend. I came in as a support. I don't know that I could be here. Why did this man say that she was weird for not wanting to listen to his sexcapades that made her very uncomfortable? He said that she was childish. He dismissed her. He didn't want to hear anything else that she had to say. And she's like, I'm trying to be here for you as a friend, but I'm also setting a boundary saying, hey, this is uncomfortable for me. I need to remove myself. And you're now chastising me for it. Like, he's just disgusting. He's so disgusting. Then they get to a point where they have to eliminate people. He decides to keep Amaya. And the rationale is he needs somebody like her to help him on his journey. So not only was she easily disposable, you're also going to use her up until she's no longer useful to you. I feel like that's so telling on how he will eventually treat Shantae. I hope that when she watches this back, she sees that as well. It's not just how he treated you. It's how he treats women in general. So problematic. So anyways, the last episode ends with video messages. The way that this goes is you are allowed to send your partner a 30-second video message saying whatever you want to say, but it is not compulsory. So you can choose to opt out if you want to, right? Grant decided to send a video. He said that he's a good man. He's a good father. And he deserves somebody who's going to put him first and love him entirely because it's time for him to prioritize himself. He still doesn't see the error in his ways. He still thinks the majority of the issues are on Ashley. What did Ashley really do? I need him to give us an itemized list of what Ashley has done, because the way that he is so convicted that she's the problem, I need to know. I really need to know. Anyways, moving on. Ashley doesn't send a message. Good. Don't give that man a damn thing. He doesn't deserve it. Then we have Alexa. She hopes that Lino still trusts in her since she wants to get back together at the end of this. And Lino says that he has grown and he realized that he only wants her. Then we have Taylor. She did not send a message. Good. I feel like none of the women should have sent. Actually, Alexa can send a message because her man has been pretty loyal. And she even said that in her message too. She said, baby, you're doing a good job. Based on the things that I'm seeing, I'm so happy to be with you. All the other girls don't send a damn thing. But Breon sends a message saying that he's ready to be her dream man. And after finding himself, he promises that he will never make her feel less than going forward. This man believes that he has gotten his sexual desires out of his system. I'm at the point now with Breon that I think it has to be like the brainwashing that can happen sometimes in Christian communities. Because it is okay to have the desires that you have. We are human. It is okay. You cannot just do something and be like, okay, this is out of my system for good. Actually, maybe you can. Let me not make it seem like it's impossible. But if in fact it is not out of your system, you can be honest about that. You can share with her, hey, I really need this thing. And I don't want to drag you through the mud while I explore this desire of mine, whatever it is, if it is the threesomes, if it is polyamory, if whatever. It is okay to admit that you want that. Just let her know. And give her the opportunity, even though I feel like she will not leave, but give her the opportunity to leave. Don't do these things behind her back or gaslight her and make her feel like, what she's seeing is not really what she's seeing. It's just not fair. And then Shantae sends a message. She says that she is hurt by his actions. And it's really that lack of remorse that hurt her more than anything. But she still hopes that she can get clarity from the situation. The whole show has been clarity. This is not love. This is not what love looks like. And that's not to say the way that Breon wants to live his life is not what love looks like. Love can look like that if it is agreed upon by all the parties involved. When it's not agreed upon, it is just cheating. And it is so cruel. So cruel. I'm frustrated going into the next few episodes, but guys, by the next reality recap, we should have this season done and dusted. Is there a reunion? Because I need to know where they are now. Shantae, I won't be surprised if she's still with him by the finale, but in present day, I need you to be single. Please and thank you. But anyways, that's it for me today. Guys, again, available on all streaming platforms. When you're done this, run it up on the podcast platforms, baby. Again, the ad-free versions are available with an Apple Podcast subscription. Let's get the numbers up on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for the support that you guys have given me so far on Instagram as well, Reality Recap Pod. I love seeing you guys really keep the conversations going on Instagram, on YouTube, wherever. I truly appreciate it. I feel like we're a community. And I love my community. So I'll see you guys again next Tuesday to break it all down again.